You know, when you imagine something in your head, be it a destination or maybe the outcome to a game or something, and then you get to that moment and it isn't exactly what you thought it would be, like it just doesn't quite live up to what you played out in your head. I specifically remember this when thinking about the Avengers game, like when it was first announced. I could see so clearly in my head me playing as Iron Man, flying alongside my friends in this ever expanding world that would be out for years to come. And then it came out, and, well, we all know what happened. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is the exact opposite of this. It is the antithesis of this. Avatar has exceeded every expectation and preconceived notion that I had going into the game. Now, let me set some parameters before we get going. I love the world of Avatar. This was one of those rare films in my lifetime, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings being two others, that absolutely enraptured me into the world. I know there are some narrative elements that are less than desirable in the Avatar franchise, however, it was the world itself that sucked me in. Look, all I wanted out of an Avatar game was a 6 out of 10, something that was serviceable, fun, and gave me a small taste of what it's like to be in Pandora. Instead, I received something far greater with Frontiers of Pandora. Everything from the visuals to the movement to the intricate gameplay systems that reflect the narratives of the films, this game is shaping up to be one of my all-time favorite open-world games. So today, I'm going to take an unscripted look at some of the things that I absolutely love in the game. First things first, music. And I have written down in my notes, music, my god, the music. And that pretty much sums it up. I have these really fond memories of listening to the original Avatar soundtrack when I would be going to bed. It put me in such a good headspace when I was going to bed. This was back in middle school. And I've got really strong feelings about the music of Avatar and what that world sounds like. And I'll be honest, I was a little apprehensive about the score for Frontiers of Pandora. Sometimes music just doesn't exactly hit the way that you want it to. A good example of this is Jedi Survivor. I love that game. As you know, it's my photo mode of the year for 2023. But honestly, the music in that game is really lacking in certain areas. It doesn't always capture, to me, the grandiose, brilliant scores that John Williams did. So I was a little nervous, to say the least. But after being in the game for just a couple of hours, and specifically after playing the mission First Flight, my worries were completely thrown to the wayside. And in fact, I was shocked to admit to myself that I think the music in the game is better than the music in the movies. To the movie's credit, they are the ones who established that tone. Rest in peace, James Horner, the original composer. He really gave an aesthetic to what Pandora sounds like. But I feel like the composer Pinar, I hope I'm saying that correctly, did a immaculate job creating music for a interactive space. One of the prime examples of this, again, is from this mission First Flight. And the music, it's just so wonderful. And I'll play you some samples here, but as you are traversing up the Hallelujah Mountains, these floating mountains, the music is just building and changing and evolving in such a beautiful way. When you start at the base of the mountain, you get this kind of just low drum beat that's just sort of like your rhythm. It's your heartbeat. You're getting ready to go up this mountain. As you start progressing up, vocals start coming in and these voices start singing as you are ascending to the top of the mountain, to this wonderful thing that you're about to be a part of. And then there's this part where it takes kind of a slowdown and these sort of cellos, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it sounds like cellos come in and it's calm and it's sort of a break because you're solving a little environmental puzzle and not moving as quickly. And then as you get to the very top and the moment this all crescendos is when you receive your Ikron, you bond with it, and the music just absolutely explodes into this chorus of singing. And really just to show how Pinar has nailed the tone of the Avatar movies. There's a lot of songs that I've just heard in my head, and she is sort of using a similar progression of notes, but then it goes in a different direction. So it's both at the same time very familiar, like you've hummed this in your head before, but then it takes on a life of its own. So here's an example of some sounds that are just very similar and really just get you in the spirit of the Avatar world. I could really go on, and I know this channel is not about music, but scores and musical compositions basically being all I listen to.
What the hell have you people been smoking out there?
I feel very strongly about these things. So yeah, the music is amazing. Go listen to it. It's fantastic. The next thing I want to talk about is the movement, and that was again something that from trailers, from any like footage I had seen of the game, I was a little apprehensive of. Flying the Ikran is kind of a big thing in Avatar. I mean, it's a special bond between the two beings, and the way it looks in the movies is really quite intense. I mean, there is momentum, there is agility, there is just a ferocity that when I was watching some trailers and they had these shots of like the Ikran flying kind of low to the ground, I was sort of like, oh my, is this going to be very restricted, and are we going to have a lot of invisible walls? Is there going to be a really obvious ceiling? Again, totally blown out of the water. The moment you get on that thing, after you do the first flight mission, it's like everything I was worried about gone instantly. First of all, it is such a great feeling to call to your Ikran while you're falling. It's kind of similar to that feeling I got when I first played God of War, that feeling of when you click triangle and the axe, the Leviathan axe, is recalled to your hand. It's that sort of like empowering, it's so awesome feeling. And the Ikran has that same exact feature. You're falling, you summon it, and it's not some loading time. It's not like some hesitation. This Ikran swoops under you, grabs you, and you absolutely are flying. And again, with the worries about will there be restrictions? Absolutely not. Like, you can fly this thing so high up. I like that seamless traversal. It just makes the world feel very connected, and it makes things feel just very, very sleek and very polished. And beyond the Ikran, just movement around the world in general feels good. There's that scene from the first Avatar movie where Neytiri is teaching Jake how to use the leaves to pad his fall, essentially. And that was something that I always thought was super cool. I mean, the leaves are just massive, and it's a great way of like connecting the natural world with the Na'vi. And so the game has that too. I didn't even expect that. They've got these big trees that if you jump off the side, you can use these trees to essentially pad your fall. And, just the movement in general, there's all these, it feels like a big playground. There's these little things you can grab onto. You can like use these little vines to like shoot yourself up. There's like speed flowers that are kind of like, you're like inhaling something. In terms of like how the world works, you're inhaling this chemical and it gives you like this surge of energy. Yeah, it's just really fantastic all around. Okay, and lastly, the world in general. There's this common thing that I feel like a lot of video game developers say where they're like, the world is a character too. Like, I'm pretty sure there was like a Cyberpunk press conference where they're like, the world of Night City is a character in and of itself.
Oh man, that is just wrong.
And every time I've heard this, I've been like, okay, that's something that you said. And then I play the game and I'm like, okay, like the world's cool. There's like pretty things. But when you say the world is a character, that just does not translate to me in the way that I think they think it does. But the world of Pandora has, for the first time ever in any world, actually answered that statement. Not only like lore wise is Pandora seen as more of this living, this intelligent thing that can react to what's happening around it, But Ubisoft Massive has also made this tie-in with the gameplay itself, like on a systematic level, which is really impressive. And they talk about this in some of the developer interviews where they're talking about how they went to Lightstorm Entertainment, the people behind the Avatar movies. And they talked about how they would ask them questions of how they could incorporate this gameplay idea but also keeping it lore accurate. The world is really just alive, and there are things in there that are aiding the player in such a way where it really does. It feels at times like how in the movies, Awa, the spiritual god, so to speak, of Pandora, is kind of aiding you on your journey, whether that is through a natural environmental way or whether that is through, there's these perk areas. It's the classic gameplay thing of an RPG where you're getting perks, you're leveling up, but instead it's like this mystical plant is giving you this energy source that you can then turn into better skills and whatnot. I really, really appreciate that kind of thing. And for someone who loves to get immersed into something and not feel like I'm being just sucked out of it at every moment, Ubisoft Massive has absolutely knocked it out of the park. The world it's alive, it's wonderful, and there's so many times where I'm just stopping to look at the world itself. Just look at how it's moving, how it's breathing, how it's interacting with itself. It's really quite jaw-dropping when you take the time to look around. And this is photo mode reviews after all, so this is all helped by the fact that it has a photo mode, so it really helps me get in there and take a look at things a little bit closer. I mean, I didn't even talk about the detail of this world, but let's just say it's amazing, and we'll get more into that when I do my photo mode review. And also just a reminder that I am doing a giveaway for the ultimate edition of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. So all you have to do is be a subscriber, leave a comment of your favorite quote from any of the Avatar movies, and yeah, hope to see you in the next one.
First round's on me tonight. Let's boogie.